Joining me now is Critical Dynamics Director of Law Enforcement Training, security expert Keith Hanson. Keith, a radical feminist movement calling itself the 4B movement is gaining popularity among American leftist feminists in light of Trump's emphatic victory. The 4Bs have appropriated this whole thing from a Korean movement, but what they essentially stand for is no marriage, no dating, no birthing, and no sex.
Start by taking back your power.
It's time for action.
Some concerned women now taking radical steps. You may have seen it. Talk of the 4B movement gaining steam.
4B movement.
The 4B movement.
The 4B movement.
All I have to say is good luck getting laid. Especially in Florida, because me and my girlies are participating in the 4B movement. That's my next plan.
I don't think the men in Florida are too worried, Keith, but tell me about this movement.
Well, I mean, it's cultural appropriation at its finest, isn't it? I mean, this is a movement that was stolen from Korea. That Political article that you referenced, great article, gives a really good succinct breakdown of exactly what the 4B movement is all about. But, listen, I don't personally have any issues with blue-haired 500-pound belugas pulling themselves out of the dating market. And if they're so concerned, I mean, this whole thing ostensibly kicked off because reproductive rights and the ability to go out and have an abortion. So these are people that, for whatever, seem psychologically compelled to go out and just engage in activities that are the leading causes of pregnancy. I would really think it would be entertaining to see them try to abstain from this. The Political article referenced this woman who, I'm going to give up men, and it's just going to be a whole bunch of me and my sisters all sitting around in this tight-knit group of women. Hey, listen, more power to you. That's why I love conservative women, Rita, because they're happy and first of all, they're incredibly attractive. They're happy, they're robust, they're full of life, and they don't buy into this constantly angry, constant victim status. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, if these women want to breathe themselves out of existence, I'm all for it. You got my seal of approval.
Well, this is the thing. It's self-harm, essentially, isn't it? You're only hurting yourself. You're only hurting the sisterhood. The biggest people you're punishing are within your own little ideological echo chamber. So it is a bizarre little movement. You almost think this is something a conservative came up with and somehow fool these girls into following. Let's see how long it lasts. We saw that whole pussy hat movement the first time Trump was elected, and that fizzled out. I guess those ladies need something to do now. Let's go to New York. We're hearing that Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg is said to be re-elected next year, despite his terrible performance thus far, the way he has misused his office to go after political opponents while being soft on crime, including violent crime. What does this tell you, Keith, about New Yorkers? They complain endlessly about crime, and yet they're going to re-elect this guy?
Well, the one thing I would say is let's not get too excited about polls. Jan Seltzer, the famed pollster, she quit after she really flubbed the Iowa prediction by 16 points. If we listen to the polls, we would be, as that one political analyst said, toasting Madam President. That didn't work out too well for her. Hillary Clinton would have been elected as president, and Brexit never would have happened. Polls are designed to weaken the opposition, to make the opposition think there's no reason to put down your beer and get out of your Barca-lounger and go out and vote. So I would like to think after, the resounding success that Trump has had, even in places like New York, that maybe people are starting to wake up under Mayor Adams, under Bragg. They're starting to look at what liberal progressivism is doing to their cities. And at this point, they say, could it get any worse if we voted somebody else in? Maybe, just maybe, we might actually have an improved quality of life with reduced crime in a city where we could walk down the street and not get mugged for our cab fare or our subway tokens.
I would love to believe that, Keith, but that just hasn't been the experience. But you're right, those polls are often terribly wrong. But we've also seen these blue cities just keep voting for the same policies that are slowly destroying the place. And then you see them fleeing their cities in some cases, going to places in Florida or Texas or Tennessee, and then voting for the very things that ruined the place they fled. So it is rather maddening. But one of the things that we saw in this election result was just how red America is. When you look at the map now, there are no blue states. There's blue cities, certainly. There's blue cities. The big cities are blue, but there's really no blue states.
No, and I got to be honest with you, and just talking about what we were discussing previously. I mean, I could be wrong. You'll notice my beard is gone. I lost a bet, so it'll be back in 2 weeks. So I mean, I could be wrong about this. But what's really encouraging is when you look at the 18 to 24 crowds, how many of these people, these young people, these students, I think a lot of people who had written off and said, nope, they're hopelessly entrenched in this liberalism that they've been exposed to in high school and in college. How many of these people came out and voted for Trump? It's extraordinarily encouraging. And maybe it's just one of those things where now we're being oppositional. Kids are oppositional. So when your parents are woke leftists, that leaves only one thing for you to do as an oppositional child. Say to your parents, screw you, mom and dad. There's two genders, and now I'm going to go start a business. And that's sticking it to your woke parents. So.
Well, yeah, we've been talking about that tonight, the fact that the rebels are on the Republican side, the cool kids on the Republican side. If you're a conformist, if you're a sheep, if you go with the establishment, then you're with the left. Keith Hanson, thank you so much for your time this evening.